absolutely. So checking out these prize cards for both of our players. I don't think I'm seeing anything too spicy. Of course, a lot. I mean, the Cramorant here, I suppose. I actually don't think either of these are too bad for either player. I suppose the Silene, potentially Palpad, a lot of resources that are kind of used to recycle from the deck for Piper. But yeah, nothing too bad for either player.
Right. The Silene being at the top of the prize cards especially means that Piper isn't going to be going for any sort of like Silene, Misfortune, Sisters, Mill shenanigans that might be an option in this matchup. Caleb, meanwhile, has some good footing to get, you know, that early setup
But here
and try
we
to start taking the
go
KOs.
into our Masters top 4 match. This is as good as it gets here in our Pokemon stream, and we are kicking it off.
Piper starting off with Evital in the active, has that Cry of Destruction attack to discard special energy. Not going to be relevant for this matchup. Piper is going to try to look for Snorlax right off the bat with the Quick Ball. Going to take advantage of that Gormandize ability. If she can get this up into the active spot, just draw up to 7 cards in exchange for ending your turn immediately. And that's really all you care about. You have to draw all 4 pieces of Mewtwo VUnion and then somehow get them into the discard pile to summon that big final boss. Once Mewtwo VUnion hits the board, Caleb has nearly 0 options to deal with it. Is going to have to try to find the prize cards by knocking out the Snorlax and some of these other Pokemon that might be benched afterwards.
Absolutely, but we are going to see Piper just popping off here, of course, with that Gormandize from the Snorlax. This is what we're going to be seeing for a while here until Piper can map out that Mewtwo VUnion, because that is the aim right now for Piper, as well as any sort of disruption. Piper does have a lot of disruption cards. Of course, it is a control list, so there are some things that we could see that would make Caleb's time in this match even more difficult. But why it's so difficult for Caleb in this matchup is just because you don't really do enough damage output to deal with the Mewtwo VUnion. So once that comes out, it's very difficult. But even then, these Snorlax, the Gormandize Snorlax is 130 HP, which can be a bit awkward for you to have to deal with as well. The Cramorant only hits for 110. You can do these damage counters here and there, but if your opponent is just scooping that Pokemon up, everything you're working toward is just being wiped. On top of that, you do have to deal with the disruption, with also having such little disruption yourself on your opponent. So it is going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The Snorlax can simply be scooped back up into the hand with Scoop Up Net. I believe Piper is on 4 of them. Not only is it great for, you know, getting rid of those damage counters, recycling those abilities, getting some switches when you absolutely need them. We see the Galar Mine there in the stadium spot, making it even harder for Pokemon to retreat. But the other use of the Scoop Up Net, of course, is once Mewtwo VUnion comes into play, you use the Scoop Up Net to make sure it's your only Pokemon in play, and then your opponent doesn't have any gusting options. Caleb, meanwhile, starting off with the Battle VIP Pass, trying to see what he wants out of the deck. How is he going to complete his setup? We know that Comfey, one of the best ways to get it out of the active, if you don't have your Scoop Up Nets, your Switch Carts, your Escape Ropes, is to do that attach and then natural retreat, and so Galar Mine is going to cut that off.
Yeah, so this is a deck, of course, we've seen on the stream before. Caleb has been playing against his own teammates, really, to get to this point as well. So this is an exact 60 list we have seen before. But now it is in the hands of Caleb here, being piloted. So this Radiant Greninja is actually going to be really huge for Caleb to actually have a decent amount of damage that you can start stacking here and there. But it's going to be really critical for Caleb to hold on to it, because that's kind of one of your only strategies against the Mewtwo VUnion once it's out. You know, the Mewtwo VUnion has a built-in big parasol with its ability as well, so it cannot, the effects of attacks, so not including damage, but damage counters and such, doesn't affect it. And that's just, it's a built-in ability. It is just a wall of a difficult time that you have to deal with. Yeah.
The Mewtwo VUnion being difficult to deal with is the pure win condition of this deck. It was, you know, just foiling the Arceus decks back in the day, where they would equip that double turbo energy and then just not be able to deal more than 200 damage at a time. But Caleb still slowly but surely trying to complete his side objective of getting as many cards in the Lost Zone as possible. Radiant Greninja with that concealed cards ability doing a good job of seeing a lot of the deck. Caleb also is going to be mindful that Piper has tons of hand disruption and needs to make use of these resources as they come into the hand. He can't really take time to sit and wait and see what Piper's going to do. He knows that he has to be the proactive one here in this matchup. We see Cramorant now, 4 cards in the Lost Zone. That's going to be, you know, not a one-hit knockout, as you said, Shelby, but as long as you get that damage down, it does force Piper to have the second. Exactly. Yes. Do you have the Scoop Net already? Do you have another Snorlax already to go back into the active? Because Piper doesn't want to strand this Evital into the active either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I believe so. Piper did play down that Evital there because there was no other Pokemon, I think, in
that was the starter.
Yes. So, well, it was scooped up, but it was put back down. Wow, here we go. Starting off with a Crushing Hammer. Ooh, it is going to be, another one. No,
double
2 tails on that Crushing Hammer. So no discard of that energy, which is pretty crucial. I was talking about, you know, Piper does have these cards that is going to add disruption into the mix as well for Caleb. And in a Lost Box deck, you have to conserve your energies as best as you possibly can because you need them for your attacks. So it's pretty rough if Piper is able to kind of stack these Crushing Hammers, take them back out of the discard potentially, and have answers to that too, just adding more of a difficult time for you. But as we've said before, and we've seen on the stream as well, this Gourmandize is just going to be drawing so many cards into Piper's hands. We did, I think, see the Marnie.
Yeah, the Marnie really popped off, and the Scoop Up Net as well, saving the damage on that Evital, and Snorlax is just back in the active, going to continue to Gourmandize. Caleb has the Cramorant at the very least to keep that continuous pressure up. Piper isn't going to be putting down any offensive pressure as of yet, and so Caleb has a wide window of opportunity to continuously threaten with the Cramorant over and over. Has the Colress's Experiment now as well to see 5 cards. You get to pick 3 to put into your hand, and the remaining 2 go to the Lost Zone. Bit of a difficult situation here. Another Colress being offered as well as a Psychic Energy.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see Caleb take pretty much as many prize cards as possible off of these one prize Pokemon up until the point that Mewtwo VUnion comes out, because that's when the difficulty is going to begin. So this is kind of a race here for Caleb, getting these cards into the Lost Zone to enable some of your attackers like the Sableye to place those damage counters and start taking some knocks here and there. But unfortunately, that Miltank that's over there for Piper as well.
Yeah, the Miltank is not really going to have the dominance that it likes to see in other matchups. That Miracle Body ability.
Well, it is 110. I was looking for that. The HP. So it is 110 HP. So that's exactly what Cramorant hits for. Of course, doing that to the Snorlax here. That is in active position, and then we are just back over to Piper. Piper just able to stack all these cards in hand. It kind of just...
Another Crushing Hammer. Tails on Crushing Hammer number 3. So Radiant Greninja has been able to keep some energy attached, keep stacking up to threaten the Moonlight Shuriken. A couple early prizes.
That's actually great.
Maybe within his grasp.
Yeah, that's super important, as we've been talking about for Caleb, to be attacking with anything that you can. Take these one prizers, and also Ordinary Rod is in the list as well for Caleb. So if that Radiant Greninja does go down in some sort of way, you could just get it back out, put it back into your deck.
And if that is the case, that's going to really massively increase Caleb's offensive pressure. And here comes Misfortune Sisters. You look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck, and you can discard all the item cards that you see there. 4 out of 5 now going immediately to the discard pile. And Scoop Up Net number 3 denying that prize to the Cramorant once more. Snorlax goes back to the hand, gets healed, and now Palpad returning the Misfortune Sisters back to the deck. This is sort of the alternate win condition here, and Silene also now being put into the deck too. So if Caleb takes too much time to get any prize cards or get offensive strategies going, the Misfortune Sisters are going to eat through the deck, and Caleb will lose all utility.
Well, even if it doesn't lead to that being the win con, getting rid of your item cards is pretty rough.
Mhm.
You know, 4 cards that you are not intending to discard, especially for this deck, for Lost Box, that you're filtering through your own deck. You know, you need these cards, half of them, to be going into your Lost Zone so you can start doing things with Sableye and such. So having those cards just sent to your discard pile is definitely a tough situation as well to be in for Caleb.
It's going to get really terrifying if Caleb like loses out on the ordinary rods, for example. But we've got Radiant Greninja once more using that concealed cards, and Colress's Experiment. That is going to put Caleb up to 8 cards in the Lost Zone. So now we've got the threat of Mirage Gate here to get a little bit more tempo out of these attacks, right? To start threatening a little bit more damage. And Piper has already used a lot of scoop up nets. Caleb's done a good job of just presenting that consistent damage threat thanks to the early Cramorant. Oranguru also in the hand to kind of manipulate, maybe put something on top that won't get discarded by the Misfortune Sisters.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm trying to look at the supporters here as well for Piper that we have. Some of the disruption supporters. Of course, we did see that Marnie, which dwindles your opponent's hand down as well as yours. But really good early game when you don't have a giant hand that you're working with. You might as well just pop it off and kind of throw your opponent for a loop there. But we do see cards like Flannery as well. Of course, you mentioned one of your favorite cards, I swear, Skarzik, that Misfortune Sisters.
I know, it's so dastardly in this specific matchup. Lost Box does not like it. Ultra Ball going to find a Mewtwo VUnion leg, then immediately gets discarded by the Quick Ball. Just going to fail that right now, just thinning the deck down even more. Wait, no, pardon me. I think Grab Pyukumuku looks like they're underneath the hand.
Yep, quick balling out the leg of the Mewtwo VUnion. Always cracks me up when we're talking about Mewtwo VUnion in pieces. It's
so Pyukumuku does have that pitch of Pyukumuku ability. You can, once per turn, put it on the bottom of the deck and then draw another card from the top and gets Peonia. This is another supporter allowing you to look at 3 cards from your prizes, then choose any 3 cards from your hand to put them back in any way you like.
Yeah, this is actually a very, very good card in this deck because if you prize your critical pieces that you have, you just have access to them and you take them out of your prize card. So definitely a card that we see making an appearance in the Mewtwo VUnion. It's definitely one that you see quite often in these lists, if not all of them.
Yeah, we saw a Mewtwo VUnion, I believe it was yesterday, that had Peonia and Mewtwo VUnions in the prizes. It was just completely cursed.
Yeah, that was definitely tough for sure. And you know, I think that list was playing 2 Peonia as well. But when the 2 pieces and you only drew into 1 off that first Peonia, that is bad news bears. But that's not what's happening here for Piper in this match. Everything is going as planned so far, and Caleb is still being left. Of course, we do have 8 cards in the Lost Zone now, so approaching that 10. We also have the Radiant Greninja on the board here with those 3 energies attached. So Moonlight Shuriken is sure to get some mons here.
Yep, we've got the switch cart now to put the Cramorant on the bench. Radiant Greninja now in the active. Moonlight Shuriken allows you to deal 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon when you discard 2 energy as well to pay for that attack. And with Piper's only Marnie now out of the equation, 3 scoop up nets out of the equation. This damage is going to start sticking. If all 4 Pokemon that Piper has in play right now go down, Caleb still has to find 2 more prizes somewhere to take this game, and that window is slowly closing where prize cards are easy and free.
Well, not only that, but with the discard of those energies as well, and then if we do see some sort of loop with the Misfortune Sisters on Piper's side, you know, Caleb could be losing essential resources like Ordinary Rod, Energy Recycler, things that you need to conserve your energy and put them back into your deck, and that's a bit of a sticky situation to be in as well. Also, we have this Galar Mine that we haven't even mentioned. It hasn't really been super applicable so far, but that is adding extra retreat cost to these Pokemon as well. So Caleb, I mean, it's not going to be too big of a problem, but again, it's still more cards that Caleb has to burn through in order to pivot out of Pokemon as well. So again, it's just an uphill battle. It's a mountain Caleb is
Another
climbing.
misfortune
Another
sisters. Another one. Let's see.
Another one. Let's see. Yeah, what's it going to hit? A rope?
Escape. Oh, just
Yeah.
escape rope. Okay.
I mean, but talking about those pivoting cards,
yeah, it's a
if
really
Galar
important
Mine's in
tool.
play, you know you need to have those as well. So it's are you just going to run out of resources before you can accomplish what you need to? And that is going to be what is a part of this uphill mountain climb that we're seeing so far.
And Caleb has to constantly take a new stock of what is missing from the deck. You know, you're thinking of a game plan, and the Misfortune Sisters gets rid of the card that you were hoping to draw into to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together. Galar Mine, we can see, adds 2 more to the retreat cost. The nightmare scenario is that, you know, Caleb would end up with no switching cards and just something useless stranded in the active. But Piper just going to get rid of the Galar Mine now with the Lost Vacuum, trying to empty the hand in order to make more room to Gormandize. Even though you draw up to 7, you have to somehow find a way to get these cards out of your hand. And Piper, knowing that a lot of these supporters and whatnot aren't directly applicable in this matchup, is now beginning to struggle in using these cards proactively and aggressively to make room for the Gormandize. Still 3 Mewtwo VUnion pieces in the deck, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think we've only seen 1 discarded to a quick ball so far, so it is also not the fastest Mewtwo VUnion we've ever seen, but I don't know if I've seen too many times. I guess when you have like both pieces and maybe an Ultra Ball or something in your starting hand, that's great, but yeah, still climbing to that Mewtwo VUnion.
And Caleb now with the Energy Recycler and Mirage Gate combo puts all those energies back into the deck and immediately attaches them to Radiant Greninja to set up another Moonlight Shuriken.
Yeah, this is definitely a huge play. This is what Caleb has been leading to, taking out these Pokemon that are enabling Piper to collect all of these cards and line up her strategy in this matchup. So getting 2 Moonlight Shurikens off